Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
All right, welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. And joining us is a return guest, and the timing could not be more perfect because we could really use some law and order at this point. And so I've got a guy who has done it all. He's served as a patrol officer, a corporal, sergeant, undercover agent, a school resource officer, a detective. He specializes in crimes against children. Of course, he's the president and founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. Richard Mack, Sheriff Mack, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Noah. It's great to be back with you.
Yeah, well, really appreciate you coming on. Let me do a couple housekeeping things first to make sure everybody is seeing us and hearing us okay. But we should be live right now on YouTube. We should be live on Rumble, and we should be live on X. So if you are seeing us and hearing us, please give me a comment. Let me know that you're coming through okay. I always love to see where people are tuning in from. So let me know. I used to say what state you're tuning in from, but then we started getting people from Australia and Europe and all sorts of places. So let me know what state or country you're tuning in from. But Sheriff Mack, really great to have you back on the show. And as I was saying, really the timing could not be more perfect. I think maybe the place to go. I want to talk about a lot of your other stuff too, about your the CSPOA and everything else. But maybe first we just jump right into it. Everybody wants to know about Minnesota. We've got obviously the ICE agent up there that shot that lady, Renee Good. The circumstances surrounding that, it seems like it's getting worse every day up there. Some of the videos out this morning, it looks like it looks like Summer of Love 2.0, you know, back in 2000, repeating itself again. Yeah. I think that's the last time we had you on the show was shortly after that. We were talking about a lot of that stuff, but looks like this morning a mob up there maybe overwhelmed some federal officers, took a federal firearm. I'd love to just get your thoughts on this as you see what's going on up there. Just take me through anything you see. What's the solution up there?
Well, first of all, I'm really disappointed in the sheriffs in some of these major cities. Multnomah County, do you know where that is?
No, I don't.
That's Portland.
Okay.
And so Portland is in Multnomah County. And Sheriff O'Donnell, lady sheriff, and there's about 15 or so female sheriffs in the country. I don't care what sex they are. I care that they do their job. Mm-hmm. And we've never heard anything from her about getting involved with the chief of police, with the mayor, with the county commissioners, and trying to work out a plan for safety and civility. Same with Sheriff Luna in Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles is in Los Angeles County. Never hear about the sheriff trying to work things out or saying, if chief of police and mayor, if you're not going to keep this place safe, I will. Mm-hmm. Where's the real leadership? Sheriff Dart in Chicago, that's Cook County. New York does not have a New York County, so it is not in, they don't have a sheriff right in covering New York City. But there's a lot of other sheriffs outside that area. And if there's any place in this country that needs a sheriff, it's New York City, but they don't have one there. And there's 3 states that don't have sheriffs at all, which was a huge mistake. Alaska and Hawaii did not form the office when they came into the Union in 1959. Wow. And I don't know why. Because the sheriff is the oldest law enforcement officer in America. Even before we became a country, there were sheriffs in the colonies. And the office of sheriff goes way back in old Anglo-Saxon law, you know, just like the sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood and all that. A corrupt sheriff is a horrible thing for the people. And obviously that was the sheriff of Nottingham. But he has always been, the office of sheriff has always been the ultimate protector of the people. And as the Declaration, as the Constitution of Delaware states very plainly, the first state in the Union, Delaware, in their Constitution, it says the sheriff shall be the conservator of the peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the sheriff is for. And if he's looking right now, if the sheriff in the Minneapolis and St. Paul area are looking at this and saying, well, oh, good thing I don't have to do anything about this. They absolutely should be. And I believe that the sheriffs, if they would exercise the proper leadership, could get a handle on all of this, and it wouldn't be left to the ICE agents to try to fend for themselves when officers are standing by doing nothing and not even getting out there to help. Is there anyone in this country that believes for a minute that law enforcement doesn't have a responsibility to address the issue of illegal aliens, people coming into our country illegally, and that when we did that during the 4 years of the Biden administration, and it's happened before. Clinton did it, Obama did it, but Obama actually started sending several million of them back, which was kind of a surprise. And still, we're not sure why he did that, because he allowed them in and wants them in and thinks they should be here now. But the millions and millions that came in here brought in international terrorists, Hamas, ISIS, all of the terrorist groups are here. And perhaps even worse, they are now working with the cartels who have all set up shop in America, and the sleeper cells are everywhere. And they are continuing to do human trafficking, sexual exploitation and slavery of children, and fentanyl distribution and trafficking. And these murderers and rapists are here. Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal alien. There's been dozens and dozens of those types of murders. There's been lots of assaults on police officers. A gang of I don't know what country they were from. All I know is Latin America. Were beating up two cops in New York City while people stood and watched. And one of the suspects went into the court and was out in about 45 minutes and came out and flipped everybody off.
Mm-hmm.
This is the question I have for every single Democrat in this country. Are you trying to tell me that you're supporting all of that because of Trump derangement syndrome or whatever you think it is? ICE has every right to go after the people who came in here illegally. And the mayor of Minneapolis was saying how unconstitutional this was. Quote me the part of the Constitution, sir. But that is illegal.
Yeah.
You're making a broad statement that you don't even know what you're talking about.
No, they don't.
Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution says that the United States government shall provide a Republican form of government for every state. Ensure that. Now, do they have to take it? They can't be forced to do that, but it needs to be provided. And that means also for the United States of America, we're supposed to be a republic. And then right after that, it says, and protect them and protect their borders from invasion. That is a federal responsibility. Now that they're in your state, you should be helping and get these criminals out of there. And they are very serious, horrible criminals that are there. I've been to training about these terrorist groups and the cartels, and they showed videos of these people torturing women and killing them in the most heinous manner, just the evil satanic manner. And I've never been able to get that out of my mind. These people are evil. And they don't give a hoot about you or a nickel for any of these stupid Democrats out there protesting. They could care less about that. And not only that, a lot of these protesters are shipped in and paid to be there.
That's right.
And so let's be real about this. Answer the question, every Democrat, every American, do you really expect law enforcement to go along with these criminals invading our country?
Yeah. Well, Sheriff Mack, what is the relationship? Because everything you said is exactly right. But what is the relationship between like a local police, a city police force, and then the local sheriff? If the sheriff came in and wanted to enforce, how do those two work together?
Well, they're supposed to be working together, and that's the thing. And the gentleman's agreement between the chief of police and the sheriff is that the sheriff, and first of all, we need to remember that the sheriff is the only elected law enforcement officer anywhere in the country.
That's right.
Okay, he reports to the people. He doesn't report to another political committee. He doesn't report to another bureaucrat or the town managers, city, county manager, whatever. He doesn't report to the governor. He doesn't report to the president. He doesn't report to Congress or the state legislature. He reports to the people who appointed him, elected him, and he serves them. And every 4 years, the real power source, we the people, the first 3 words of our Constitution, we the people, he reports to them, and every 4 years, they get to say whether or not they're going to keep him. The people are in charge, and that's the big, huge difference here. Really, to be honest with you, the chiefs of police should be elected also, so that they're doing the same. So they're not a bureaucrat answering to other bureaucrats, that they are to be answering to the people, and the people pay their salaries, and they take the same oath. Both of them take the same oath to uphold and defend, enforce, and obey the United States Constitution. So the gentleman's agreement between the two is that the chief of police and the police department will handle all the calls for law enforcement within the city limits, the incorporated areas of the city. Outside those city limits belongs to the sheriff. Now, does the sheriff have concurrent jurisdiction with the chief? Of course he does. The people inside Minneapolis and St. Paul, inside the city limits, still vote for the sheriff. And so he has a responsibility when he sees that the chief of police is not doing his job, that he should be. And I can't believe that these sheriffs are sitting back and watching all of this violence and not doing anything about it. And this should not be a federal government. The federal government should not be having to keep the peace in Los Angeles, Chicago, or Portland, or Detroit, or any place else. And so there's two cogs to this wheel. One is the illegal aliens that need to be deported, and that's ICE responsibility. And it would be really advantageous and safer for everyone if the local sheriff and chief of police would be helping. If they want to make sure that nothing's going on wrong, then be there and be supportive and have their back and help. But when you allow mobs to do this kind of violence, then what do you think is going to happen? And that's exactly what's happening when you do nothing.
Yeah. So it seems like a lot of these local police departments have just been compromised from the inside and essentially have fallen. We know that. We don't know why some of these sheriff departments are not coming in, but they're not. So that leads then, and you just said the federal government should not be the ones having to keep the peace, but that's where we're at right now. What is your take? Are we at the point, would you support President Trump invoking the Insurrection Act and just rolling in and cleaning all this up, or how do you view that?
It's sad, but true. Yes. I'm sorry, but the responsibility of all government at every level, state, local, federal, is one, to protect the rights of the people. And we all have a right to live in peace. And so we're here to protect the rights of the people, and that is maintain safety and law and order. And if they're not going to allow that, and you really expect the president of the United States and the Justice Department to sit here and watch people fight and kill each other and continue to have mob violence, and the national media supports this, the National Democratic Party supports this, and we're supposed to sit and watch? This is absolute insanity, and this is showing everyone the true colors of the Democrat Party, as if we need to see any more. And so, of course, the president has that prerogative, and he's already warned that he's going to declare insurrection, and he's given them the chance to take care of this yourself, or I will. And it shouldn't fall on the president. We should be taking care of our own communities, folks. And when you have busloads of people being shipped in and paid to be there and commit this kind of insurrection and mob violence, Just what do you expect? And you need to follow the trail, and you need to follow the money trail, and you need to know who's really in charge of all of this crap. But when you get governors and mayors saying that, oh, we're not going to allow any more of this, we're not going to allow this. Allow what? For ICE to come in and do their job and get criminals out of your community? You don't want that? Well, then do it yourselves. You should be doing it. Law and order. This is still the country of the Constitution, of law and order, the rule of law, and peace and safety are tantamount to what's going on. Come on.
Yeah, I think historically there has been such a the way this country was founded, I think, is law and order and keeping the peace was supposed to be a local function, as you just said. It's supposed to be the local police. Before the local police, it was the sheriffs. They came first. But when they so there I think there has been a historical reluctance to send federal troops domestically out in this country. That was not supposed to be the vision, but that is the failsafe.
Well, let me remind everybody that John F. Kennedy did it.
That's right.
The icon of the Democrat Party, and I think President Kennedy was actually a pretty good president.
I think so too.
And I liked a lot of the things he said and did. He was going to keep us out of Vietnam, and then he's assassinated, and Johnson comes in and sends hundreds of thousands of troops to Vietnam under the basis of political lies. And so it was a big farce, but they're willing to kill tens of thousands of Americans for their political war in Vietnam. And it was a waste of time and waste of life. And it's, again, shows the corruption of the Democrat Party, who was leading the way on that war. And it was kind of funny that they actually accused Barry Goldwater, running against Johnson, that he was a warmonger. And they were already in Vietnam War.
It's always the exact opposite of whatever they say. That's where the truth lies.
That's
always.
It. And it's always 10 times worse than what you know. So the corruption in Washington, D.C. and across our country, we're now starting to see a tip of the iceberg with all these fraudulent charges against people. And why are the people in Minnesota outraged about all the fraud and spending of billions and billions of dollars of the theft, not this spending, but the theft of billions of dollars from taxpayers? Is this kind of all this thing being now tossed back to Trump and blaming on Trump and blaming ICE? And we're now kind of forgetting about all these horrible, corrupt crimes being committed in Minnesota. And now Washington State is raising its ugly head of fraud, and Ohio. Folks, this thing is, none of that has even tipped the iceberg yet. We really have some serious problems here, and we need law and order, and we need politicians being held accountable. And this whole thing of saying, let's blame Trump. Governor Walz actually said, I take full responsibility. And then he blamed the Republicans and Trump.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, Sheriff Mack, I think if truth were told, they try and paint it as the country's split 50-50, and you're asking all these questions about, why are people not outraged? I think the real truth of the matter is these elections, I think Minnesota's been stolen for decades. I think it's all rigged. I think
it is.
The Somali fraud is the tip of the iceberg, but that was funding. You can go, they've got a statute on the books up there that says no voter ID required. And it's called vouching for people. You can just vouch for people that live near you and say they're a valid voter. They wrote that into their statutes.
Yeah.
It's nuts. So I think between
totally
all the fraud,
illegal. And if any of us, if you and I say people should have identification to vote, you're a racist.
Yeah, right.
And the media will even back that up. You're a racist. Well, how is that when I want everybody of every race, creed and color and religion, doesn't matter. I think everybody should have identification to vote. So how is that racist? They don't care. They're willing to lie, cheat, steal, and murder to get their way. And folks, let's be real here. Why did the Democrat Party put Biden up as president and then assign him to make sure that he opened the borders? Why did that happen? It was for one thing and one thing only: international and intentional election fraud.
Mm-hmm.
They brought millions of people into our country to make sure what? Oh, they don't. Oh, you don't have to have ID to vote. So all these illegals who are not Americans, who are not citizens here, are voting in our elections. They also have another way to cheat, 2 or 3 different other ways to cheat. But all of this was to stack the deck so that the Democrat Party could have a complete and entire monopoly on political power from Hawaii to Bangor, Maine, and every state and county in between. And this was the intent. It was the greatest act of treason ever, and it was done through election fraud. And folks, wake up and see it.
Well, the most hilarious thing to me is, they claim that, oh, you're, like you said, that you're a racist if you want voter ID. But the truth is actually the reverse, because the reason they say it's racist to want voter ID is because, well, these people, they can't possibly figure out how to get an ID. And, well, they can't even make it down to the DMV. So you're saying that one whole race of people is so incompetent or so stupid or so unable to do anything that they couldn't possibly find a way to get an ID? That's the most racist thing I've ever heard.
The Republicans and I will set up a way to drive people to the DMV to get your ID. And sometimes you can even get a lot of it done online. So it's very easy to do. And how many people in this country, what's the percentage that don't even have ID anyway? Americans. I'm talking about people who are from America, okay? Not the illegals. If you came here illegally, you don't have any business voting in any of our elections, and you should answer for your crimes. I don't care who you are. I don't care. If you're going to commit a crime, intentionally commit a crime, you should answer to the crime. And the Democrats, they don't agree with that. Oh, they didn't commit a crime. Coming here illegally is a crime. Okay.
Absolutely right. Let's go back to Minnesota. I'd love to get your opinion on. Obviously, we had the lady. They're trying to make it and trying to make her George Floyd 2.0. Renee Good. By every video that I've seen, she's aiming her car directly at the ICE officer, and then she speeds up right at him. We now have reports that came out yesterday that he was diagnosed with internal bleeding at the hospital after the incident. Of course, he shoots in self-defense, and she is killed. Love to get your thoughts on that. Break it down as a sheriff and as a peace officer. How do you view that?
Okay, well, I will tell you, I spent 20 years in law enforcement. I never shot anybody. Most cops do not ever get involved in a shooting situation. It's a very small percentage that do. I had 2 or 3 cases, one in particular, when I tell this story to other cops, they said, you should have shot that guy. Maybe I should have. But the deputy I was with, he and I both had excellent cover. This man was at his doorway waving a gun around. He was in a meth stupor, going crazy, seeing things. He was yelling that he needed to shoot this monster. And the one thing that really concerned me about not shooting him sooner, it was in a trailer park. And a bullet could have gone through a neighboring trailer where people were living. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And I'm telling you, I did not tell my deputy not to shoot. I said, be very careful and cautious and measured what we do here. And the entire time, he had a 10-year-old son standing next to him. The kid would go back. The kid was very panicked, was scared to death, was absolutely petrified. You could see it in his face. It really made me feel sorry for the child. If the child hadn't been there, I'm sure that man would have been killed. But we were being really cautious about doing this with the child there. It took us about 45 minutes, and we finally talked this guy into listening and just put the gun down. We converged on him and arrested him, took him to jail. He didn't get much of a sentence or problem with the law. I was for a much stronger sentence. And in fact, he bailed out and he got probation. He came into my office because I took his gun away from him. Obviously, I took it in as evidence. And I told him that until he came and showed me that he went to rehab, that I would not give him his gun. Nothing prevented him from going to get another one, obviously. But anyway, he and I had a very strained relationship. And he worried me every time I saw him because I thought he was coming after me with his new gun. He was really mad. And I said, "You're lucky to be alive. And what you did to your son that night is absolutely unforgivable. And what you put him through." And so anyway, the reason I'm telling you that story is I never shot anybody, and I was very measured, and I never beat anybody up either. And I was a nice guy. I tackled people who were fighting, and I stopped bar fights, but not because I beat everybody up. I calmed everything down. I restrained some guys and whatnot. You can't be a cop and not be in fights and stuff, but I never hauled off and slugged anybody, never beat anybody with my nightstick, never maced anybody. I calmed the situation down. I didn't make it worse. This is the deal with the ICE agent that shot Renee Good. She caused the problem. 100%. She caused the problem. She was being very arrogant. You could tell on her face that she was enjoying what she was doing. She was trying to get their goat. She was being very belligerent. She was not obeying orders. And at this particular time, that's really stupid not to do that. And she's antagonizing the police. She's acting erratically. She's driving erratically. And yes, she committed a crime called this: assault with a dangerous weapon, a deadly weapon.
The vehicle.
She committed that, correct. She committed that crime. And the officer was in his right to shoot, to shoot back. She's attacking with a vehicle. Did she hit the officer? Yes. I don't even think she knocked him down. I don't think he had time. I don't think he didn't shoot from his back. So from the time that he got hit, I don't believe he was knocked down. He got up and shot. He was pushed out of the way by the vehicle, or he was moving that way to get out of the way. Whether he was bleeding internally or not doesn't matter. That was a deadly assault and a deadly attack towards him. His life was in danger. Maybe other cops were in danger as well. That's probably true. But I will be honest with you, Noah. I would not have taken the shot. Now, some officers would disagree, and that's fine, but I would not have taken the shot. Was he in the right doing it? Yes. Should he have? In my humble opinion, should he have shot her? No. He had all the legal rights to use lethal force. All the statutes regarding lethal force, he was within the law. But I wouldn't have taken it. She's not going anywhere. We have her license plate. Even if she were to get any further and away from the scene, we have her license plate. I don't believe she was going to leave anyway. And there was plenty of officers around. The street may have been blocked. She ran into a parked car because she was dying. I questioned that she was shot in the face. And then after she was shot, she's still screaming, "You did this to me. You did this to me." You know, so that sounds weird. People are trying to make a big deal of where the shot went in. That's not where her face was. If you look at the angle, that doesn't make any sense. And it's stupid people that are trying to make sense of something they don't know anything about. Okay. So that really bugs me the most. And the people who don't know anything about the law are trying to blame this officer. Now he's in hiding. This again shows the mentality of the Democrats and the people that are causing this problem. And there's no real Democrat leadership in this area, the mayor, the governor, and anybody trying to calm this down and de-escalate the situation. And you are causing this problem. But again, I'm going to say it for the record. I don't think he should have shot. He had the right to shoot, but I don't think he should have shot. And I wouldn't have.
Well, that's a very respectful opinion. And certainly you've made a career of de-escalating, and that usually, blessed are the peacemakers, I guess. You know what? I've seen the videos countless times. And the one thing, whether he should or shouldn't have, the one thing that jumps out to me is his reaction time was astonishing. I mean, how he got that shot off that quick was I mean, wow.
Yeah, to get bumped like that and then fire that quickly, you're right. It was. And I I'll go to my grave saying he had every right lawfully to pull the trigger. I don't think he should have, though.
Well, let me ask you this. If I think President Trump's doing a great job. I think it sounds like probably you would say that on balance too. But let's say we put Sheriff Mack as president, for the day. What do you do? Do you send in the federal troops, or what's your move as President Mack?
I would first I would try to call a meeting with the sheriffs in those areas. I would invite every sheriff to the Oval Office, maybe a bigger room because there might be 100 or more there.
We got a new ballroom coming soon.
Yeah. See, I knew they needed that ballroom.
That's right.
Yeah. But and he's done this before, by the way. He has called sheriffs to the White House before, back in his first term. And he's had a good relationship with sheriffs. And I would ask the sheriffs to attend. And if they don't come, then the president I would have as President Mack, I would have the prerogative to say, I've invited these guys to a peace plan and peace talks for these areas: Los Angeles, Portland, New York. And New York's not going crazy right now as much as these others, but definitely Minneapolis and St. Paul. And ask the sheriffs in the surrounding areas that are right around these counties, because it's going to bleed over to them. And they can help. And they can tell the sheriff in Minneapolis, we're here to help you. We've got your back. We'll bring in more troops. We'll bring in our people. You can call us in. Sheriffs do that frequently. Mm-hmm. They help each other. And then try to get them to go back to their communities and work with the chief of police to de-escalate. And the whole conference will be about de-escalation and showing proper leadership to get a handle on all of this. And he would tell them, this is your jurisdiction. You have concurrent jurisdiction with the chiefs of police. The United States Supreme Court said in the Mack Prince case that the sheriffs who did this lawsuit, and the Brady Bill itself says that we will present this Brady Bill to the CLEOs of the country. And every one of those jurisdictions was the sheriff. And Scalia says that we who filed this lawsuit, we're the CLEOs, the chief law enforcement officer. And the president would need to remind these sheriffs, you are the chief law enforcement officer of these counties. Take charge, take control, work with the chiefs and the mayors. If they will not work with you, do your job, sir. Ma'am, do your job. And let's get this under control. If you don't, I will.
Yeah, right. That's good. And we haven't heard a lot of that. At least I haven't anywhere in the news about trying to utilize.
I said this on Steve Bannon in the War Room 2 days ago. Same thing. And Steve was very receptive, and he said, "I will make sure that the president sees this."
It's a fantastic idea, and another way to try and de-escalate. That I like that. Are you aware of any situations historically where you've talked a lot in this show about kind of the gentleman's agreement between the sheriff and the local chief of police, but are you aware of any situations of those two clashing?
Yes.
Yeah. What happens in those cases?
Yes, yeah. Well, do you remember Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Maricopa County, Arizona?
Oh, sure.
Well, when he was out doing raids on illegal aliens, he actually raided the city of Mesa, where they had illegals working.
That's right. I remember that. And
the chief of police of Mesa PD, which is just behind me here, it's just north of me, about 5 miles, because I live in Gilbert, Arizona, which is southeast Maricopa County. And Mesa is like the second largest city in Maricopa County. The chief of police really got mad at Joe Arpaio. And do you want me to give you word for word what Sheriff Arpaio said?
Yeah.
He goes, let's see, I'm the Maricopa County Sheriff. The last time I checked, Mesa is in Maricopa County. Do you want me to tell you what was said after that?
Yeah.
Nothing. So that's why I'm telling you, these sheriffs have the jurisdictional authority to do this.
But almost universally, we're not seeing it. Are they intimidated? Have they forgotten what powers they have? Why do you think they're so inactive?
Oh, they don't want to do anything to cause waves. They want to make sure that they get elected next time, and they want to make sure that their pensions are padded. And quite honestly, to compromise public safety and the rights of the people for your pension, we've got enough political prostitutes in Washington, D.C., sheriffs. We don't need any more. Mm-hmm. Do your job. If you're not going to do your job, if you don't have the guts to do your job, get out of the way and go sell insurance or something else, and get out of the way so somebody else can do the job that you promised to do.
Yeah, that's good. What you mentioned just a few minutes ago, the famous Supreme Court case that you were a part of, the Mack and Prince versus U.S. case, and that really was a 10th Amendment case. I wonder if I don't know if we have the time to tell the full story of the case, but maybe if you could, I'd love to hear from you. And I think most Americans, even if you've gone to school, you've had your government class, your civics class, most people don't understand the power of the 10th Amendment or even what it says. But I'd love to have you comment on how much this country could be transformed overnight if we started to really follow the 10th Amendment.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. And if people would just follow this case. Now, this is a highlighted version of the case. I'm showing it. I don't know if you can see it. But
yeah, we see it.
Okay, good. This is the case, and it fits in your shirt pocket. It's very small. Folks, you can read this in 10 minutes. You can get 3 of these for $5. Okay? There's absolutely no reason why you should not have these. And go to CSPOA, CSPOA.org. Right on the front page, you can order these. And you should get dozens of them so that you can hand it to public officials so they know this case. Okay? Everyone should know the case. Everyone should know that this is the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of our country.
Real quick, Sheriff Mack, that QR code at the top of the screen, if anybody is watching this, you scan that with your camera on your phone, that'll take you right to that website, CSPOA.org. So go ahead,
Perfect.
Please.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that. Yes. Good interruption. And so the 10th Amendment says, and I'm not going to quote it totally, but it says this: the powers not delegated. And that's the key word, delegated. Who delegated these powers to the new federal government? The states did. The original 13 states, the original 13 colonies delegated these powers to the new central government. Okay? That's key. Who's the boss? The person who delegates is the boss.
That's right.
We created the federal government. Not the federal government didn't create the states. And they were delegated certain powers, very limited, discrete and enumerated powers, as is stated in my case by Scalia, by the Supreme Court. Okay. And it says, and this follows the backdrop of everything that you and I have been saying today. And this was probably the most powerful thing in the entire case. Scalia quotes the Constitution, quotes the Founding Fathers, and quotes the Federalist Papers. And this is Federalist 51. Hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. Folks, that's pretty big. That's a big statement. How do we have a double security to the rights of the people? Scalia was wanting to make sure that we all knew that if governments are doing the job right and doing the proper thing, the proper role of government, then the states and the federal government present a double security for our freedoms. Wow, really? I got to see that. But it's the truth. It's what's supposed to be happening. And they reinforce this. The United States Supreme Court reinforced this in this decision. The most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of our country. Who started all this? I did. And then 6 other sheriffs joined me in that lawsuit. Prince and I ended up at the Supreme Court together. And this was a 5-4 split victory for the sheriffs and victory for America. Hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. Folks, pausing on the quote. How does that happen? He tells us right now. The different governments will control each other. Is there a time? Yes. Is there a time that the states and the counties and the sheriffs would have to control the federal government? Yes, I've done that. I did that when I was sheriff, not just on this case, but other times when bureaucrats would come in and try to push their weight around and do things outside the law. I got in front of them. I didn't arrest them. I threatened to arrest them, and they left town. And that was the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA. Okay. The EPA, another Democrat, yay, bureaucracy. And they left town, and we didn't have any problem after that. But when they're outside their authority, the sheriff is to step in. However, when the sheriffs and the chiefs of police refuse to do their job and allow mob violence, then the federal government can and should step in. And that's where the double security lies. And so one other quote from this decision, folks, just so you know how powerful this case is. Quote, but the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. What does that do to COVID and all the other things that they're trying to do illegally? Do you know that the federal government has no authority to do health insurance for all of us? Mm-hmm. That is a farce, and it's a lie, and it's not their job or their prerogative. Do you know that they have no authority whatsoever to create entitlements and charity? That is not the role of the federal government. Mm-hmm. They have very discrete and enumerated powers, and those aren't in there anywhere. Do you know that being in charge of our nation's education is not the proper role of the federal government?
That's right.
They have none. And folks, we have allowed this monster, this Frankenstein in Washington, D.C., to get so big that it's too big to really answer to us anymore. And we have a bureaucratic nightmare full of corruption that is running our country. And I really appreciate what Trump has tried to do. Now we need to get some more done in that regard. But people have him now so busy with this violence across the country. This should have been an easy thing. And every sheriff and chief of police should be helping with deportation and making sure they've all been given a chance to go back and come back in lawfully. Okay, that has been afforded to them. And now that they're going in and they go after these gangs and they find others that are here illegally, should they just say, oh yeah, you can stay because you haven't done anything wrong? That's the lie from the Democrats. Okay, folks, if they still get deported because they're here illegally, then so be it. That's a chance they took. And for you Democrats to support that lawlessness is wrong. And so don't put these people in that position. And I'm all for immigration, lawful immigration. And not only that, I'm on the record saying this, and I'll say it again right now. It should be easier to become a citizen in the United States. Okay? But that doesn't mean you get to just come in and do it illegally. This is probably the most heinous thing that has happened during illegal immigration. How do these people from southern Mexico and Venezuela and Argentina and other places in Latin America, how do they get here? If you think they all walked, you're crazy.
That's right.
You know, so what has happened is that these families get the coyotes and the cartels, those who are running human trafficking into America, and they charge them about $7,000-8,000. If there's just one or two, maybe $4,000 or $5,000. How do these poor families get that money? They either have to commit crimes there to get that kind of money, or the heinous part, I'm going to tell you right now, and we don't know how often this is, but we know it has happened. They sell their children to the cartels and make them sexual slaves to be able to bring the rest of their family in. Mm. This is really sad, folks. And hardly anybody's talking about that. Have you heard anybody talking about that, Noah?
Yeah, not enough.
Where families are actually selling their children to the cartels?
No, nope.
They do. They have. They don't have the money to get here, and these families might be coming for a good reason, to better themselves and to have a peaceful and prosperous life. But they're forced, in order to do that, to sell their children. No, this is too out of control. I would be, my degree is in Latin American studies, and I speak pretty good Spanish. Yo hablo español. But the thing of it is, we need some attention. We need people, and I would volunteer to do this. I know Latin American culture, and try to help their governments. But when you have communist dictators like Maduro and others, there's others there. Obviously, Cuba in the same place. Colombia is not too much better. Costa Rica, very peaceful country, doesn't have any military whatsoever. Brazil has a lot going for it. But this is and so does Argentina. But this is the thing. If we're not going to help the root causes of why people want to come here, I mean, these countries should be ashamed that people want to leave by the millions, that they offer no opportunity and equal opportunity and equality. That's the problem with with Latin American countries. And we need to address that. And that is where we can offer help. And like I say, I actually put in to be the ambassador to El Salvador. And I've been to El Salvador a lot. And no one ever responded in the transition team for Trump. And there's a website where to put in for jobs and whatnot. And so no one responded, but I had people contact. I had Tom Holman that I know very well. I asked him to put in a good word for me. I don't know if he did. But anyway, I wanted to help Latin America, and I still do. But America first, United States of America first. And these people should go home and come back the right way.
Yeah, you mentioned Maduro. Obviously, I'm interested in your thoughts as you're not military, but as an officer, your thoughts on that raid. I mean, it's absolutely stunning what they pulled off.
Way to go, Trump. Yeah, that's my reaction, because look, these people that are doing the international slave trades, human trafficking, and sexual exploitation of children, and the fentanyl and the cocaine and all the other drugs and all the other crimes associated with that, killing your own people because they don't go along with you, imprisoning people because they don't go along with you. This is absolutely intolerable. We cannot accept that. And in the grand scheme of things, do you really expect to let that go? And then people say, oh, it was unconstitutional. What do you want the president to do? First of all, in Article 1, Section 8, it says the federal government is in charge of felonies committed on the high seas. So the states, Nebraska doesn't get to form their own Navy and go and patrol the high seas. That's a federal government assignment. It's in the Constitution that says it's a federal government assignment. Is the president supposed to have congressional approval? Yes. Would I, if I were president, would I have gone to Congress and say, can I go raid and go arrest Maduro? We have a warrant for his arrest. No, I would never have done that. Which Democrat would you have trusted to keep that secret?
None.
None.
Hey, actually, maybe Fetterman. I might trust Fetterman.
Oh, yeah, Fetterman. Yeah, Fetterman. Yeah. Can you believe it? That Bill Maher and Fetterman are the voice of reason in the Democrat Party.
It's true.
Wow. Who would ever thought that? But yeah, you're right. Fetterman, I want to give credit to Fetterman. He's very measured and very fair. And he's honest. He's just being honest. None of the other Democrats are being honest. Oh, you're a traitor. No, I'm telling the truth. There's a big difference. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I really like Fetterman.
Yeah.
I thought he was a nutcase when he was running.
Well, he did. There seems to have been a shift, and I don't know what happened. I know he's had multiple brain surgeries, and maybe it's the old, fall down a well and lose your mind and fall down again and you're okay. I don't know what happened, but the guy is actually a voice of reason right now, on the most part. So
yeah, he's doing a good job. I mean, but yeah, But at the same time, the Democrats are going to stay insane no matter what. And I would ask the good people that are Democrats, and there's good Christians who are obviously confused about abortion and some other things that are so heinous, but there are some good people that are reasonable and need to understand. I'm not going to tell you to leave the Democrat Party. I'm going to tell you to quit voting for these same people that are in office right now. We need people who will enforce and obey the United States Constitution and thereby do what? Protect what Dr. Martin Luther King fought and died for. And that's human rights, civil rights for every human being on this planet. The Democrat Party does not care about civil rights. They do not care about the Constitution. They care about their agenda. And the reason that we're having so much violence right now are Democrat-run cities paying people to come in and commit these acts. And we have got to have true leadership that will be saying, instead of using F-bombs and telling all the Republicans to get effed and all that stuff, you support people talking like that? You support leadership that is saying it's okay? Oh, aren't we glad that Charlie Kirk was assassinated? No, folks. No, this is wrong. Murder is still wrong. And I don't care how the Democrats want to spin it. You need to get away from that and be independent in your thinking and independent in your voting. And I totally agree with President Trump and some other Republicans that have said this. What has the Democrat Party done for you? Mm-hmm. Why do you keep clinging to them when they've done nothing that they said they were going to do? And just giving you stuff is actually criminal, against the law, and completely contrary to our constitutional form of government. Government is here to protect your rights, not give you stuff. Okay? And as long as the field is equal for everybody, equal stuff does not mean making the field equal. Every black person, every black American, brown, Asian, everybody has an equal opportunity to succeed, to go to school, and to have a job. That opportunity is there. Let's guarantee that for everyone. And that's what I'm asking you to do as a Democrat. Get away from that brainwashing that the Democrat Party is doing. Get away from the violence. Tell anybody professing violence in your party that you will never vote for them again. And look for somebody else. Maybe an independent, maybe a Republican. There's some Republicans I can't stand either.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want everybody to come together, and I wish we could get rid of the parties because both sides have too much loyalty from their members to the party instead of to America and our Constitution.
Yeah, that's so true. And one last comment on Maduro, and then I want to get to your website here, Sheriff Mack. But you were talking about the authority, and would you tell Congress? You just can't make some of this stuff up. But the Biden regime, I refuse to call it an administration, but the Biden regime, they actually put out a bounty on anyone that would bring Maduro to justice. And I think it was 25 million to begin with. And then they raised it to 50 before they left office, before they left the regime. So, really, in reality, they have nothing to complain about. And President Trump's probably owed 50 million by the Biden regime.
Yeah, that's I said, hey, if Trump needs some cash because of all these cases against him, he's been to trial, all these Democrats using lawfare to go after weaponizing their own departments and attorney general's offices. Maybe he needs to catch up on some money.
That's right.
So you guys have really gone after him financially. You tried to destroy him. Even the Democrats impeached him when he wasn't even in office. Mm-hmm. How stupid, folks! Look at the insanity that the Democrat Party is promoting. Yeah. So, folks, impeaching someone, that means they get removed from office. Mm-hmm. President Trump was already out of office, and they still did it.
Yeah, it's deranged. Well, so many people just complain about things or talk about what's wrong, but you're actually trying to make a difference. I've had your website up on the screen here for a little bit. That QR code at the top left of the screen will take you to this, or if you want to just type it in, it's cspoa.org. It's the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association.
And I need everybody to do two things.
There
One,
you go.
make sure you order the little booklets. I have other books there too. This one I don't make anything off of. The others I do. Order my other books. Go, you see some great books. Okay, the best Second Amendment books, the best leadership books, the best freedom books, and they're there. I brought 7 or 8 books there. This is the best book. All of you should get this and pass it around. Okay, absolutely. Make sure you get the Body Align stuff. It's great. We have great products, great sponsors. But this is what I want you to. The other thing, every American should join us, because we are the only peaceful and effective solution left. And it's like General Flynn said, and I just got back from Washington State, where General Flynn and I spoke. And his motto has been for a long time, local action, national impact. There's no better way to do that than working with your constitutional sheriff. So first thing, become a member of the CSPOA posse. Then order you some books, and then we will work with you. And every Wednesday we have training to help you. And that's only an hour training, and it's very little time that you need to spend on this or what you're going to do. But when a lot of people do this, we're part of the solution to take America back, county by county and state by state. Even with Trump there, I hold out very little hope for Washington, D.C. The next president is going to be vital, and it's probably going to be a leftist Democrat extremist. And I don't want that. I haven't picked anybody to be president yet. I think Trump has done a tremendous job. And if you really look at what he's accomplished, securing the border would be, you would think, enough for the first year alone. But he's done lots of other stuff. And folks, stop listening to the propaganda from the leftist media. They're part of the problem. They're lying every day about all of this. And so leave that area, leave the media, leave the politics. And folks, if Trump does something bad, I say it. And if a Republican does something bad, I say it. And right now, the Democrat Party has really been part of the corruption and the problem. And they are part of the problem. And that's why you need to abandon them. If you want to leave the party, do it. I don't care. What I want you to do is stand up for what's right.
Yeah, that's such a great message. I love it. And I really love the idea of getting these local sheriffs more involved and helping us on a local level. So anybody listening to this, please give this a like and share it out there. That'll help get this message out. As Sheriff Mack said, we want to get this message to President Trump, invite the sheriffs in, have a summit, get the local sheriffs more active. In the meantime, you can go support what Sheriff Mack is doing over at the CSPOA. Go to cspoa.org. Go ahead and add your email address in there, join up with what they're doing, get the resources. And I know we're out of time here, Sheriff Mack, but I want to thank you for coming back with us for a second time. It's always a great time having you on the show. It was perfect timing today with the state of our nation. And maybe the next time we have you on, things will be cleaned up and we'll be talking about some different things. But really great to get your insight. Very insightful, very measured. Really appreciate the de-escalation focus that you've had your whole career, and I hope that message gets out more. So I always like to give people the last word. So go ahead and take us out as we close up here.
Well, thanks, Noah. It's great being with you, and I want to get a good relationship with all the people that are listening right now. Become a member of our posse. That's $11 a month. I failed to say that. That's $11 a month, and we bless each other. And this is exactly the message that the Founding Fathers said in the last line of the Declaration of Independence. I'll quote it. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. My dear friends, we must do the same today.
Well, no more perfect way to end than that. So everybody, thanks for joining us. I know there've been a lot of comments. I wasn't able to put them all up on the screen, but thank you for being here live with us. And we'll catch you on the next one. Please like and share this video, blast it out. If you're not following us yet, whether it's on YouTube or Rumble or on X, find the follow or subscribe button so that you don't miss future interviews. And Sheriff Mack, thanks for being here. We'll have you back on again soon. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Noah.